Just another road trip in the Big 12 is the way that we have to approach this. Honestly, if you look at the standings right now and the games that have happened since Big 12 play started, I don't even know that home court is an advantage right now. So I think it's just a matter of us approaching every game the same, regardless of the opponent. I mean, obviously you're going to have different game plans against each team, but I think the teams that are going to fare the best are the ones that can figure out how to have a 40-minute approach, no matter whether you're at home, away, and who the opponent is. So I would like for us to carry over our preparation and our mental approach to the Tech game and take it on the road to Manhattan.
Last time you guys were on the road, a week or so ago, you probably felt like you let one get away up there. Does that kind of motivate this team whenever they hit the road again, as you're talking about? Make sure you play that full 40.
I think it's just a task that we're still trying to master. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that, again, it's as much about the opponent as it is about us, and us trying to figure out, how to be ready to play, how to attack the first 5-10 minutes of a game, and then how can you carry that through for 40 minutes or as close as you can to 40 minutes as far as detail and competitive spirit, and not let, missed shots or fouls or whatever get to you mentally. And I think that the contributions from our bench in the really in the West Virginia game, I thought they were pretty good, and then I thought they were very good against Tech. That helps a little bit because you start to feel like, okay, if someone's not ready, didn't have a good week of practice, or just doesn't start the game well, gets in foul trouble, whatever, you start to get some confidence in your bench, then I think that it probably uplifts everyone and keeps everybody a little bit more on an even keel.
Forgive me if this is kind of a dramatic word here, but do you feel like it was kind of a breakthrough performance on Wednesday night? Like, do you feel like after Wednesday it's like, okay, see, this is what happened. This is what we've been telling you guys. If you do this, this is what the result's going to be.
Yeah, I would like to say that, but quite honestly, I've already said that, and in a few previous games. So I think that it's just turning the page, get ready for the next game, and see if we can master the next game, and just not get too high, not get too low. I thought they did a really good job of not being too low from West Virginia, because it was disappointing. And just the fact that we were able to have a really solid performance against Tech, it didn't seem like that performance came from anger or anything like that, how some teams just get up and then that's where you ride the roller coaster. Mm-hmm. And I thought that we just seemed pretty even-keeled throughout the game, focused, and I think that's what we're all searching for at this time of the year is, can you get your team to focus for 40 minutes, be fresh, which again, I'm encouraged by the fact that our bench is starting to get more experience and feel more comfortable.
Charlie continues to be incredibly consistent. I'm sure you've touched on this many times throughout the year, but what do you think has been the biggest reason for her step this season compared to where she was at last year?
Well, I think maturity is the first thing. Strength is different. Expectations, just knowing, what I mean by that is knowing what to expect every day, not only in practice but in school. The competition, I mean, she knows exactly what she's getting into every day, and so her approach to preparation, her ability to kind of overcome bad things, whether it be that she missed a shot or turned it over or fouled or whatever, has really improved as the year has gone along. And I think that what I see in Charlie is that she's trying really hard to not go backwards, even though she's had steps in this year, which is part of the process of a player. She's had moments where she's felt like, oh, I feel like I'm a freshman again, which is natural for a sophomore. But I think she's trying to find those moments to grow and not continue just to keep going backwards, if anything, just mentally, which helps a player improve. It helps them in the process of their careers if they just continue to step forward every day. And, again, you make mistakes, and sometimes you have missteps, but if you can learn from those and just maturely grow from it every time, then you turn into a pretty good player if you have talent.
You mentioned last week about Iowa State and West Virginia being just tough road trips based on logistics itself. You know, where does kind of Kansas State fall on that Big 12 road trip list?
Well, the weather dictates most of that. Last year was a pretty rough road trip to Manhattan. I think we got stuck in Topeka or rerouted or something and got in there pretty late at night. Hopefully that won't happen tomorrow because it's an early game on Sunday and they moved it up to 12. So honestly, I think every road game is tough. The longer trips, you know, they're tougher when they have to get up the next morning and go to class, and if they've been in class the next day, the previous day. So the fact that we got a few of these out of the way before classes start next week is a positive thing. But I think if you asked any coach in the league right now, they're not sure whether home is an advantage or not. You want to make it that way for sure, but I mean, it's crazy. I think I may be misquoting this, but maybe 10 of the 13 games so far have been won by the road teams, and that is remarkable because the Big 12 is just so naturally good at home because of attendance that's pretty crazy to think about that. So we're going to go in there with a good road mentality.
Is there one thing or one person you look at when you see this Kansas State team and you're like, we need to stop that to be successful?
Well, they go as Peyton Williams goes, I think, just from a sense of how talented she is and how versatile. But the two bigs have really produced all year long. They're fairly consistent. So I think you have to look at their guard play, point guard play. I mean, Angela Harris has contributed a lot as a transfer, and you know, I think that they go a little bit as she goes also. So again, I can't reiterate enough that as you get deeper and deeper into Big 12 play and everybody knows what the best players do, the other players can really contribute a lot. They can give your team energy. Sometimes they're the players left open, and so I think that it's the role players that start to become really, really big as we get a little deeper into play.
Speaking of Peyton, how impressive is it that she's obviously doing everything during basketball season, coming off of volleyball season, just going as long as she's been going these last few months?
I mean, she has to love competition. That's about the only thing I have to say about a player that is constantly playing competitively in games, is that they have a desire to compete. And so when she switches sports, it's not hard for her to, it looks, I mean, I don't coach her, so I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it's very hard for her to just go to the next sport and be as competitive as she can be, because that's obviously who she is. So it's unusual. I mean, definitely there's not been that many be successful at it, and you have to tip your hat to her as far as maintaining that level of competitive spirit, although, I mean, there's something to be said for maybe changing gears a little bit. We talk about that a lot in youth sports, how specializing may not be the greatest thing on earth, and she probably stays mentally fresh maybe from that. So I think if you're capable, there's nothing wrong with it.
Any thoughts on the WNBA's new collective bargaining agreement? And
Absolutely.
If that's enough progress in your mind?
I'm not in it every day, so I think that's hard for me to say, is it enough? I don't think as a female, we're way behind. So enough is a hard word for me to use, but I think it's a giant step in the right direction. In particular, just that we're aiding women in areas that it wasn't even acknowledged. I mean, you talk about maternity leave and child care at your workplace and those types of things that have not existed, staying in your own room. I mean, it's hard to fathom that those things did not exist. So I'm really happy that their salary is being increased, but I think if you talk to them, they probably are very pleased about those other areas that weren't addressed at all, and they felt maybe disrespected. So I think it is a huge step in the right direction. Is it enough? No. But it is a really big step, and I want to say that, you know, from all of us that are in women's basketball, I think we just need to express how much appreciation we have for those players that fought for it. Because when you look at the body of work as far as the committee and the players that were involved in that, those are players that may not play in the WNBA much longer. So they didn't necessarily do it for themselves, and I think that's what's so remarkable is that they use their education as power. You know, I mean, you talk about Aneka Agumake, who took her education seriously, Sue Bird. I mean, you could go down the line of those that fought for this, and I mean, they are educated women that know exactly how to fight for equality, and they're educated in what they're talking about, and they did this for the future. They did not do this for themselves, and it just needs to be said how much we appreciate them.
Is Audrey about where you guys would like her to be?
I think so. It's a great question because she adds so much to our depth as far as bringing in another live body that can defend multiple positions and play some multiple positions. And I would hate to say that she's not, just because she was out for so long. I mean, it's the same progression that Shug and Izzy went through. You just don't ask a player to sit out a couple of months, 2, 3, whatever it was, and then they just reoccur the same as they were when they left. I mean, Audrey put in a lot of work this summer, and it was disappointing for her. But she's starting to, you know, come around, and I think that when she's in the game, it gives us another dimension that we didn't have before her. So, yeah, she's about where I thought she would be. Give her another month, and she'll be better.